If science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion, otherwise you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown, an illusion?
Where you been?
Drunk.
Wendy, darling, light of my life.
What's your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death?
Yeah, so fuck off and die.
He's a much, but
speaking of much kids,
you don't got
do
to
you think your
transition.
kids
Shut the fuck up.
Are they? No, I was gonna say, are they mischievous enough to crack the seal on your death apartment?
Oh yeah, that's a reach. They definitely would.
Yeah,
they wouldn't.
I got there.
They wouldn't even acknowledge it. They just walk straight through it.
They just bust right in, huh, dude?
They just be like, "Why is
start
this
looking at his
like,
glasses?"
Yeah. They would cry at like all my glasses because I have like so back when my family loved me. I had so many pairs of glasses. I bought like so many, so I have like 10 pairs and they're everywhere.
Yeah,
so hey,
dude.
this is the Golden College podcast.
Ralph Fiennes, dude, him crying at those glasses is beautiful.
No, yeah.
Dude.
Let me just mention real quick. So I gotta say up the top, speaking of glasses, I was gushing over the glasses in this as a glasses wearer, specifically Stanley Tucci's glasses. They looked so sexy and so comfortable, and like,
well, dude,
I want
that's
them.
Stanley Tucci, baby.
But I guarantee you,
I don't know
they're
what
hundreds of dollars.
Oh well, sure, yeah, dude,
They're
yeah.
nice.
If
my
not,
glasses,
honestly, if not like
I
in
buy like the
thousands.
cheapest glasses money can buy. I go to like the Chinese websites that just like steal your
Yeah.
prescription. Or
Right, of course,
whatever they do.
yeah.
So yeah, we're talking about. We mentioned Ralph Fiennes. We mentioned glasses, which plays a major part in this movie. Not really.
It really does, yeah.
Somewhat.
Well, I mean, kind of. There's
scene.
a nice scene.
Ralph Fiennes, pretty sure that's how I've always said it. So we're going with it.
Ralph, yeah.
I'm pretty
Ralph
sure,
Fiennes.
right? I mean, I remember one time I said Ralph Fiennes because I was really into him back in like college days when I moved out. And I said it, and someone was like, "No, it's like," and then they corrected me, and I'm like, "Is it?" And then ever
Ralph
since
Fiennes
yeah,
or something.
It was
Ralph
something like that.
Fiennes.
And I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here."
Ralph Fiennes. I guess honestly, yeah, I guess so. I mean, we can't say a lot of names.
It was
right
like
now.
Fiends or Phineas, yeah, like something like that. I don't know. Anyway, so we watched the newest smash hit starring Ralph Fiennes. All your favorite middle-aged white men is in this. You know,
everybody was lining up.
Conclave, right? So that's the thing we watched.
Yeah,
we're watching the best movies of 2024. Got the list out, and Conclave got voted, and I was actually really surprised because it's like
I was very surprised.
This movie was not on my radar at all until recently because it showed up on a lot of people's best of the year lists, and I was like, "What the fuck is this movie?" And then I'm like, "Oh, it's like a religious, political, like a drama." Like, ugh, sounds terrible. But I'm like, okay, people are saying it's good, and I do like me some Ralph Fiennes, so I'm there. And so I'm surprised it won compared to what it was up against too. I was like, I think it lost, like Nosferatu lost, I think, against it. And I was like, what are you guys doing? But
I know, really though.
I'm glad
Nosferatu is a religious experience. So
I would have watched this movie anyway, probably, because I always watch all the movies that get nominated for like Best Picture at the Oscars, and this almost certainly is going to.
If it doesn't, my mind would be blown.
Well, it's been a front runner in the buzz, and I'm pretty sure it got nominated for like quite a handful of Golden Globes, and I think it may have won like Best Drama in the Golden Globes or something. But I'm not entirely sure because I don't follow the Golden Globes because that's the fucking bullshit one. Anyway,
that's the lesser,
long story short.
award.
I was like not excited to watch Conclave, but I was like interested, and I knew it was inevitable, right? And so. But I'm glad we were forced to watch it because it was excellent.
I know, right? Very weird energy. I don't know how I feel. It's almost like it's kind of one of those. It's cool because it's like clear alternate history, but it's very well researched. But it's also it feels very like like propaganda to me. So, but it's like it's religious, so it's kind of hard to like kind of skirt around that. But
no,
I'm gonna mention silence. I'm gonna try to just mention silence like once to get it out of the way.
Yeah,
because that does such a great job at not glorifying Christianity at all, but making a epic movie. And they're very different. And like this is basically a bottle episode.
Yeah,
where it takes place in like one location.
Yeah,
and it's only like it's like four people kind of.
I don't know, man.
And, like,
you're coming in with some hot takes for me because I would argue
I'm not worried about the Vatican finding us.
I know. No, I'm saying I would argue the exact opposite of everything you just said. I would say silence is way more, if you're going to call either than propaganda, I would say it's way more propaganda than Conclave. And I'd also say, wait, what was the first thing you said other than propaganda? That it's
it's like it's I don't know, whatever. Just it's like it's shining a very bright light on Christianity.
Oh yeah, sure.
And showing how progressive they are. Where it's
I
like,
don't know.
No, dude,
I don't know. Maybe with like the
yeah.
very, very end, but even then, it's more.
No, even before that, like they literally like Ralph Fiennes literally rolls his eyes to the racist bad clergyman or whatever the fuck they're called. I can't remember. But like the bad dude, not Wozniak.
Yeah.
Wozniak, who's like, oh, we got to keep our bloodline pure, and they go,
but he's,
oh brother. But then he's like a front runner. Everyone loves him. He's like, he's a very popular person.
That's the point, right? Is that it's not
because Christianity's very progressive.
Oh my god, it's not even Christianity, you dolt.
I know.
Catholicism.
Catholicism. They're in the same. They're
all the
line.
same to us.
This is so frustrating.
they're all the
no,
same.
It literally is though. It's like,
yeah. So like no, because this is just a movie where the main character is having a spiritual crisis, which we have experienced that in a lot of other movies, and I wouldn't call him subtly and quietly getting over his spiritual crisis. Church propaganda, because then every movie that has any hint of religion would be church propaganda. I don't think that's it. I think it's saying that like, here's what religion should be, but it's not because most of the movie I think is a criticism of religion, like way more than like an endorsement of it. Because it's like if anything, this made fucking, Catholicism and all major bullshit Christian religion. Sorry, we're not fans overall, so just get used to it.
Right. And that's a big part of it too. Is like I'm interested because someone who commented on the Reddit was like, oh, they grew up like Catholic, and so I'm like, oh, okay, you'd have a little bit more of an understanding. I mean, they said that like this movie looks pretty well researched and like like that, and everything that I've read about this, it's very just like it's like, oh yeah, this is how it goes. And I guess it's like everyone has like flaws. That's what makes us human. That's great. But,
Jordan and I, we grew up in Utah, so the only religion that we're familiar with at all is like Mormonism. So
it is Mormonism, right? Which is basically like it's not Catholicism, but it's under the sect of Christianity.
No,
like,
it's Christian fan fiction. It's Christian fan fiction,
right?
For sure.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like if you want to say like what one's older and has like more staunch, I think like The Name of the Rose, like that's a great movie. That's like
that's some good propaganda, baby. Like,
but that's not even propaganda. What are you talking about? That's like
by
a
your
murder
definition
mystery
is
a murder mystery on a train. No, dude, this movie is like Tucci. Like at one point, he's like we gotta I don't know, love the gays, and it's like, yes, this is like cool. Like there are popes that are looking forward and like trying to do it, but they literally are saying it to be like so we can like they're basically saying it so like we can strengthen our numbers. Like we have to,
sure.
We've got to like look good, which is religion, right? Organized religion.
But being obvious about that is more of a criticism, because then it's like we'll get to the end of it, but it's like the end where the fucking dude does the speech, and it's like, no, religion should come from the heart or whatever.
No, that is where
that's the one.
The propaganda.
That's the one,
yes,
for sure.
Right?
But,
and so I'm like, the whole rest of the movie is doing that. It's just littler crumbs of it, or the end is the big gut punch of like, I'm just like, oh brother.
Well, yeah, it's definitely
it's funny, but okay.
How far we have, like, it's like, this isn't what it's supposed to be. We need to bring back the roots, which is fine because I would
Right.
say that's anyone that has any faith making a movie that's like, oh, I hate the church, but I like, I still love God or whatever. Is the perspective? So I think that's more of like, that's an angle. So I wouldn't say that's not what the church, any of the churches want. They want the numbers and the power. Because at the higher,
Right.
That's what's interesting about this movie too, is like the hierarchy of everything, right? It's like such
And that's
I
what's-
didn't
that's
really
the
know
part
all
that I
that.
loved.
Yeah.
Right. I love, because it's like one of these things, you could set this, like, I mean, basically, religion is like it is this weird supernatural science fiction, because it's like they believe they believe in powers and like their clothing and what they wear and how they like everything they do, their rituals. So it's like you could set this in space and have it like be,
Dude,
the same kind of
honestly.
like diplomatic. You really could. Like
You
that's what's so
100%
cool
could.
about the story.
100% could.
That's what's great. That's why this movie does so well for me personally. It's because it's not like The Passion of the Christ. where
Forget
it
about
is
the
that
Gilgamesh.
blatant baiting. Yeah, right. I mean, really though. That's what it could be, dude. But yeah. So like that's what's great. It's like the actual story where it's like boiled down to like four men trying to like, take their power and it's a great conversation when they're like, they do like the classic like, a man who wants power should be the one to wield it.
Yeah.
Or no, the one that
doesn't.
doesn't want power. Yeah, and like and
Comparing
like,
it
yeah, it's
to
just, it's silly.
Comparing it to like Silence again, because this is much more of a like political thriller than I expected it to be, which was awesome.
Right, exactly.
There wasn't like, Silence has like a 45-minute scene of just like, Andrew Garfield just suffering and like coming to a higher power. So I don't know how you think that's somehow less. It's like he just like is like, God is real. Anyway.
Yeah.
This one's like, yeah, God probably is real because check out this turtle. Anyway, so
I know. Well, dude, that turtle was like
that made me
baller.
believe in God when I see a cute little
Yeah.
turtle. That's the one thing that makes me forget about the hellhole we live in. Anyway, let's bring it back a little bit. Let's pump the brakes, huh? We're a couple
They're pumped,
excitable
baby.
guys. We obviously have some strong opinions on religion, and
I know,
its
right,
use
yeah.
in its use in film as a narrative medium. Very quickly, let's do a synopsis.
Oh, yeah, let's do a synopsis.
You're like, what?
Well, yeah, I'm like,
So I'm gonna breeze over it. I'm not gonna get into the nuts and bolts. The Pope dies, right? Ralph Fiennes is
spoiler alert.
right at the beginning. Ralph Fiennes, he is like the cardinal, which is like the second. He's like the second rung. I had to look up all the hierarchy because I wanted.
Oh, I have no idea. Yeah, I know. I was starting to read it and then I glazed over because I was like, who cares? They're just in robes. I don't know.
Well, I was like noticing all the different colors of the different guys, and there's like cardinal and then
No,
like the archbishop.
I know, and that
or
is cool, dude. There's some beautiful imagery, obviously, through this whole thing. But
yeah,
anyways, go for it.
He's like higher up. He's middle management, but a little higher. And the Pope dies, and he's like, oh no, and then so he gets put in charge. There's like John Lithgow's there, and Stanley Tucci's there. They're all cardinals, I think. Those are the guys who would become the next Pope. And so they set up the thing, and it's like he dies, and it's not sketchy, but it's like all the bureaucracy and red tape around it is immediately very kind of like apparent, and like it's like, oh, how do we spin this for the religion or whatever? And so you flash forward to a few weeks later or whatever, to the Conclave, which apparently happens where they shut everyone down in the fucking buildings and they keep everyone separated from the outside world till they can decide the majority vote of 72 votes to decide who is the next pope. And so the movie takes place over the course of like several days where they're like, the vote keeps changing, and that's why it's like very much a political drama because everyone's like talking. But Ralph Fiennes is running the Conclave. He was like elected to do that by the previous pope, and so, but he keeps finding like, oh, we can't let this guy win because he's a douchebag, racist, and then we can't let this guy win because he's like homophobic, but like all these weird little bits keep coming out, little nuggets of like drama, like, oh, this guy. It's very much a lot of like just like popes. Just
It's school. It's schoolyard. Yeah,
they are.
it's-
There's a
it's
lot
like
of the
school-
gossip.
schoolyard
No one's
whispers.
more gossipy than a fucking
gossip.
archbishop. Apparently,
I know really though, dude. No, yeah,
it's a
because
lot
they're
of
like, yeah,
this guy might have gotten fired before things went down, but then he died because he was like misappropriating funds. You know what I mean?
I know.
And then this
it's
guy,
a little insider baseball with
Yeah.
them.
This guy,
they're like, we gotta run
30
this whole.
years ago, knocked up and one of his people in this thing.
I know, dude.
Anyway, like
One of the
people-
nuns.
secrets come out, alliances shift, and it slowly changes. This one dude shows up that kind of throws the wrench into the whole thing. They didn't know he was a pope. He was like, or not a pope, a cardinal. He was like newly anointed because he's from like the middle. His church is in the Middle East, but he's like, Mexican or whatever. But he comes in and they're like, who the fuck is this guy? And they're like, no, he was new. And so it's like, he's kind of like the wild card. It's like, is he going to be good for it, bad for it? But he ends up being kind of a purist and keeps voting for our main guy, Ralph Fiennes. I forget. It's like Lawrence is the last name. He doesn't want it. He's having a crisis of faith. He wants to get out of it, but then slowly his numbers start rising up for the vote because people are like, he doesn't want it. And he's like, look how organized he is and getting to the bottom of things. And so his vote keeps going up. And so it's all like this giant power struggle. John Lithgow is a fucking criminal, like selling off goods. I had to look up what that meant too. But
Oh, right, selling holy artifacts.
right, I had to
and
look
shit.
it up.
Holy,
I was like,
yeah,
what
holy.
is that? But
What is? Yeah, whatever.
yeah,
it's
that's
called,
pretty much. And so it goes and it goes, and then but this Hispanic newcomer guy, he kind of like is getting more popularity too because he's just so damn humble, which I didn't trust. I was like, there's too much because this movie plays this like
right.
boom boom, like the score is just so fucking ominous. But basically, a car bomb goes off outside because it's chaos in Rome, and it's like people see that as a sign, and then the people who are like really staunch, they're like, we need to start a holy war. And so the Hispanic guy's like, no.
Yeah.
Have you ever even seen war? Like, I come from the trenches where the people are, and religion's in your heart. And he does the speech that is that I roll a little there, but I get
I know, yeah.
I get it. But I was
Yeah.
waiting.
It's funny. It's like at one scene, I was like, damn, that's really good writing.
Yeah.
And then the next scene, I was rolling my eyes. I was like,
it's
Jesus.
good writing, but it's
But
just so on the nose that I'm just it
It's
loses
heavy-handed.
its subtlety, right? Which I guess is whatever. If it was effective, I guess at least.
I mean,
But-
it's Christianity or whatever. It's
but I
Catholicism, so the subtlety is kind of...
I kept waiting because after that scene, so everyone is like, oh, obviously he's the new one, and so fucking finally Lawrence votes for him, and he gets the 72 majority, the new Hispanic guy, and I was like, oh fuck, here it comes. Here's the other shoe that's gonna drop, and Ralph Fiennes has this guy who's like, they're not supposed to know what's going on the outside, but he's kind of got a guy that's like feeding him info. He's like his kind of undersecretary that's giving him shit, and he's like, oh God, you shouldn't have elected him. And I was like, oh, he's a fucking pedophile. He's something. I mean, they're all
Yeah, right.
statistically like
They're all-
2/3 of them are pedophiles. but-
all pedophiles,
Yeah.
buddy. No, when you know a pedophile, you're a pedophile, bud.
I'm surprised
when
it
you
didn't
cover
come
for
up,
him.
to be honest. So maybe it is
I
propaganda.
know. I was waiting for that. That's what I mean. I was waiting for because like they do that a lot where they're like, oh, your scandals are so innocuous. Like
Yeah.
30 years ago, he had a
and
tryst with
he's
someone.
like
It's
truly repentant too. It's like
yeah,
I
no,
was waiting
literally,
for,
it's like 30
the
years
other
ago,
day,
and he's
you've been doing abuse to young
Yeah.
boys for 30 years. Like
I know, right,
that's more
right.
likely.
Like you're just sweeping it under the rug, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, no,
Anyways,
I
we can't
I
get
agree,
too
I
deep into
agree.
that because all organized religion has a lot of
Yeah, but
protection for predators. So
for sure. I mean, that's
Alright.
half of why it exists.
that's
probably.
part. I know exactly. That's
a-
why I'm trying to get in.
That's not a bug, buddy. That's a feature.
yeah, true.
Anyway.
True that.
I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, but it turns out they're just like, oh no, this guy had like a hysterectomy, so he's like like intersex or whatever, where he has a uterus.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he went to go have it removed. He technically has like the chromosomes, but they I don't know. It comes out at the end. He's like, yo, it's cool. It's cool. I'm surprised that like more right wingers aren't freaking out about this movie because they're like, the Pope is essentially like a black woman at the end.
I know.
So, like,
really though.
kind of.
Really. Right. Oh yeah, brown woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like it's crazy, dude. Because it's funny because it is like that. It is a tricky thing because
It is tricky.
intersex is like
Well, yeah.
what's tricky to me though is like they've never seen. I mean, it's like man.
Well-
so they're like the outward genitalia. What are we talking? Because if they like he did say, or they said, they're like, oh, it was a very modest oh my god, like sect that they're from.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe no one ever saw it. It's like, what's the big, you know? I'm fine with this.
Nah, it
clearly.
sounds like he's
And
got
it's
he's
kind
got
of-
dick and balls.
It's very interesting.
But then also had a
That's
uterus
what I'm
and
assuming,
ovaries,
right?
you know, up inside.
That's
so,
what I'm assuming because
That's what it sounds
they were
like.
like, oh, until I was 30, I didn't know.
Yeah, that's what it sounds
so,
like.
So it's like, right, yeah, okay.
They didn't know until
But-
he got an X-ray, and they're like, "Oh, that's a uterus
Yeah.
right there."
Or well, they got their appendix out. But
Yeah,
anyways,
that's what it
it's
was.
like
That's what it was.
that's the whole thing where it's like I like that's kind of cool. I like that. The whole their like final monologue is a little eye rolling too, but
Yeah.
it's like I was like, oh, that's kind of an
well, that's the
interesting.
thing, and it doesn't really matter because he like is like, no, I am. This is who I am. I'm like whatever.
Sure.
And
Right,
so it kind of he's like, as long as it goes, as long as we keep it on the down low, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
And
And it's kind of
they're like,
interesting
all
too
right.
to be like, that's one more. It's like kind of like it's like a secret. It's one of those things where like Ralph Fiennes has to be like, all right, I'm gonna keep this really huge secret that isn't allowed. A woman can't be the Pope, but I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to keep this secret to do, you know. And it's like, and woman, that's what's so tricky too. Is like that's how come I think it is kind of interesting when he's
Well,
like he's so
as we
conflicted
know-
on like what to do, and he's like, I'm gonna keep this secret.
See, it's the
and
opposite
it's
of
chill.
most things,
And-
where it's just like gender in society identifies as a man, has male genitals,
Well,
but
hey,
like
our
because-
president said there's only 2 genders, so thank God we could wrap this
Yes,
up.
yeah.
We don't even have to worry
but,
about that.
But this is like, but that's the thing. This is like a different example where it's like when it comes to like biological sex, it can still be messy.
Yeah.
Like he's still
Sure.
He,
Yeah,
you know, he's man. He says and all that and claims, and that's how he identifies. But it's like
Exactly.
has the chromosomes. We don't know if it's like an XXY because it's both. You know what I mean? That's the thing. It's messy.
No.
But he's like, it shouldn't matter. And honestly, if he has more X chromosomes, it's probably more empathetic. And so we want that. We want that
Sure.
kind of person at the head. But anyway,
Yeah, right,
Ralph Fiennes, he sees a turtle, which is the turtle of like the previous Pope. And so he sees it as a sign too. And he's like, everything's right in the world. And we picked the right person. And so it ends on a happy note, which was nice. But I was expecting, because the movie is so dramatic and tense that it's just like, I was expecting the twist of like, maybe I'm just like pessimistic, but the movie did make me feel like, oh shit, when's it coming down? Like there's too many secrets.
Every time, because the secrets were building up, and I thought I was like, are they gonna do like some crazy murder mystery or something wild with this?
Shit, like I thought for sure
because the Pope, I thought the Pope got killed.
I was like, oh dude, Lithgow fucking poisoned him or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
but no, it's like he was just selling relics, which I guess is like it's bad, but it's not. They call him a Judas.
It's bad. But if you like legitimately killed the Pope, I mean, I don't even know what you would do. Where do you go?
Dude,
Who's
you're the coolest guy in hell if you killed the Pope, though. Like they're throwing you a party.
100%. Yeah, you're on. I guess you. What level would you be on? The ninth or
So
the
one of
first or
those
the
levels.
seventh or
'Cause
whatever.
we know
Yeah,
about
what
that.
the levels are. Yeah,
we also don't believe in that. So,
I know, right?
but yeah, that's.
Anyways,
that was Conclave for you.
The ending was really nice. I did like that he takes the turtle back, and then
good.
it's just like the door closes. It's like the windows open, the security measures, they lift, and he's free and he's done, and the weight is off of his shoulders, and you don't really know what he's gonna do, which is kind of nice. You don't know if he's gonna, because it's like the new Pope kind of like instilled that religion back into him. It gave him like the will to live again.
Yeah,
in
that
the
there's.
church.
A lesser movie, because it's like there may not have been a lot of subtlety here and there in some parts, but what I did respect is that Ralph Fiennes' character, his character development and the way he was written and obviously the way he was acted was very nuanced, because it's like he obviously did talk about his struggling with his faith, but it was something that he never there was never a scene where he's like, and then this happened and I lost my faith in God. Like, it wasn't a whole thing.
Right.
So him, and he never comes out and says, I'm like, I don't know what I'm like. I don't know. Like, it's on his face. You know what I mean? And that's more subtle. Because that's what makes the ending so satisfactory, is because it's like his wrinkles just kind of disappear because he's just frowning so often and everything is worried and tense. And then at the end, it's just like, it's a peace comes over him and the turtle, and then like, yeah, he gets the fresh air finally of being like literally locked down in this fucking building.
I know, it's like one of the first times there's like true natural light shooting out. I mean, the windows kind of blow open with the car bomb, but still, it's like
right
that, like
it,
like you
and
said,
you can
fresh
hear
air.
kind of
It's-
like
it's-
the
it's
world
beautiful.
and some birds and shit, and that's
Yeah,
nice.
and
And,
yeah,
that was like more. It wasn't subtle, but it was like well done, like with his. That's what I mean.
Well,
Like,
I
his
think,
character
it's great
arc was
too.
really good.
There was like some young nuns that left, and then like the door closes, and that's beautiful symbolism. And I I didn't know, because when I looked, there was like 8 minutes left or something in the movie at that, like when that scene happens.
Oh, yeah?
And it just ends, and so there's like 7 minutes of credits, and I've only noticed that because
I didn't wait
we
till
watched
the end
movie
for the fucking when fucking Samuel L. Jackson shows up with his eye patch at the end of Conclave and takes him into the Marvel Initiative or whatever.
Holy shit, that would be so sick, dude. Dude, if they were on a mission for Christ, that'd be
can't
so
even.
dope, dude. That'd
Like,
be good.
he's back.
If
Who's back?
If the Blues
Jesus.
Brothers could
Yeah.
be there. Yeah, yeah, dude. No, and like, dude, what Ralph Fiennes, like, I could see him in a Marvel movie, but playing this character. So he has no powers. He's just really stressed.
That's
but
the
like,
crossover
pretty good,
I want to see.
Pretty good.
They're just
he's
like-
pretty good at like conversation. Pretty good at
Man,
negotiating.
we can't figure this out. We need a guy who doesn't want power, and they just bring in like Cardinal Lawrence or whatever.
Yeah,
He's just like,
we gotta get
like, I don't
Lawrence.
know. But no. Speaking of Ralph Fiennes, though, his acting, dude, I like. I've always really
liked him.
Liked him. But yeah, I feel like I haven't seen him anything in a long while, and everyone just thinks of him as Voldemort. But I think of like In Bruges and stuff or whatever.
No, dude, he's fucking Wes Anderson's Grand Budapest.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh,
That's
like
who-
one of the
that's who he
last
is.
big ones.
He's-
Yeah.
That's like one of the best performances by him. Next
So
to
good.
him in 28 Years Later, which
It's not even out yet.
Dude, you have
The
no-
performance
you
of the
have no
28 Years
idea.
trailer is just like that's an
Yeah,
Oscar.
no, like literally though. Like literally, I mean, I'm already like literally the whole time I
I
was
can
watching
see
this, I
your
was like,
erection.
God,
Put it
he's gonna
away.
be
I don't have to fucking cut it out of the YouTube.
I know, dude. Well, I want the movie to be out so I can be done. I'm so tired of being hyped for a movie.
I know. Well, and there's two of them.
I know.
Anyway.
Like, fuck, dude.
Just
Yeah,
screwed.
I'm just 28 years later is going to be awful, and then I'm just not going to have to worry about
Oh, I'm an
whatever
idiot.
they do.
I'm an idiot. Ralph Fiennes was just in The Menu like last year, which was great.
Oh, duh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he was,
Yeah.
He was excellent.
Ralph Fiennes is good and everything. So anyway,
Yeah.
but
and
him,
he's great in this, dude. I can't tell you. Like, and Tucci's adorable. I love.
Tucci, he's him, but I
You know,
feel like
but-
I haven't seen him in forever either. And then like same with Lithgow, like all these just like middle-aged white men that you actually like. Like
No, right.
so I'm like at the year's ending and like we're doing the end of the year list, but like as a leading performance, I think that Ralph Fiennes is up there for me for the year because it's like
Oh yeah.
his what he does with his face in this, his acting, when it's just like when someone catches him off guard and like mentions something that surprises him or like shocks him or something, it's like the shift he has of being surprised and being like is just so good. I don't know. It's such good
So
acting.
good. And that would, but
The drama
Yeah.
cry scene too was good, even if it was like a lot, but it was like,
oh,
that's the scene, they play at the Oscars.
I actually
clip.
I really liked that.
Oh, it was
That
a great, it was a great
honestly.
scene, but it did.
It was
feel-
it was very
he
cathartic. for him
ugly
to, like, get
cried though. It
released.
was very like,
He did ugly cried. It was great. Yeah.
and I'm like,
it kind of.
he's
I
supposed
think
to
it was,
be
like,
being
jarring,
sneaky
though.
He's like being stealthy. and he's just like,
I know.
you're
Well,
ugly
no,
crying
yeah.
in the cutoff room. No one's supposed to be in. They're gonna think it's haunted.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but I love that. I love that. Like this movie just does that to me, where it'll get me caught in a scene, and I'll be like, "Oh, this is like super engaging," and then it's just kind of like slightly jarring to something that is a little silly. Like when he finds the papers behind the bed, it's like
Yeah.
he literally is like he's like like crying, this heaving, and then he's just like kind of picks this thing in like a comical way to find the papers, and it just I don't know. It's like, that's what this movie does. But I think it overall, my expectations going into this film were like, and they weren't even, I mean, they were so like neutral, like not even really low. Like I was kind of just like,
Yeah,
I saw the
neutral.
characters,
I was like-
I saw the names, and I was like, cool, okay, cool. This is going to be
I
fun.
heard it
I'm
was
sure.
good, so I wanted it to be good, but I didn't know anything about it.
Right.
So yeah, I was like, I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah. But I like when it for me, the opening. They're like they pray over the Pope and shit, and they take him away, and then it's just like a shot of him in the back, and it's just the
huge title card over the dead body of the Pope.
Oh, don't even get me right, dude. Huge
So
title
good.
cards are
So
they get me going.
Yeah,
yeah. I
same.
love when like a title card just like blocks in
The whole
but,
screen. Yeah.
But no, it's the quietness of it when they rolled him in, and it's just like you hear like the tick 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 tick, and he's just like rocking back and forth, you know, and you're like, oh shit, like it's very human. It's great.
It is. Well, and it hits you. That's the thing too. It's like the other big standout of this movie for me is the score. And the score just
that's what I put on the top of my thing. Music does a lot of heavy lifting in this movie.
But like it is sort of misleading because even though like it sets the tone like that, and the very stark, cold cinematography sets the tone for this movie. But yeah, it's like at the end of the day, like I felt like is going to be much darker, which it ended up like you said, like a lot of the big old secrets ended up being like very PG-13, I guess, you know.
Right.
And I don't know if this movie was PG-13, probably.
Probably right.
I mean, I can't see anything why it wouldn't be. But
yeah. Oh, it's PG.
Really? That's actually kind of
totally
impressive,
makes,
though.
Yeah, which totally makes sense. Yeah, that's crazy. I haven't. What's the last PG movie you think we've watched?
That I was like wasn't nostalgia.
Well,
I was like not
sure. Yeah, or wasn't your children?
Because this is not. This is definitely not a kids movie by any stretch of the imagination. But so that's
I don't
cool.
see this. Okay, there we go. Finally, I have like another movie for my argument of like the rating system being so
Seriously.
shitty.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's like it's very like boom, boom, like very. The score is great, but it starts off like he's walking,
it is so much
he's
dread.
rushing
So
to
much
the
dread.
death. Like he's like, why didn't I hear it? We tried to contact you sooner, and blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, just the dread and the intensity and like the very like crisp, just like almost like utilitarian industrial like cinematography a lot of the times. I was expecting
but then,
like I don't know, it said it to be like way darker than it kind of was, but it worked though because it was
and I think that's the point though of the filmmaking is to be it's heavy-handed for something that but I think that's where like this is where I say like subtle propaganda, I guess, on this part is that it's like they make it like they're like
the more we talk about it, the more I agree.
Yes,
I see what
right.
you're saying.
You agree?
Yeah.
Okay, fuck, dude. Yeah, of course. Okay, so anyways, but another brick into the to like solidify the fact that this is like pure propaganda. But it's hard to make a religious film. Not, anyways. We talked about that earlier. Go listen to the first half of this podcast because that's where we talked about that.
It's hard it's hard to like.
But like,
if you have a stance on it that's more than it's either you're like I'm against it and it's bullshit, or it's not, and then if it's not, then there's no really gray area. You know what I mean? It's either you're for it or you're against it. It's never like, well, is it okay? Because if you land on that side, it always comes off as it's pretty good. I'm pretty for it.
Yeah, like it's right, and that's what's like. It's one of those things where they're like things are bad, and that's where I'm almost think the subtle propaganda is like. The things that everyone does in this are very forgivable. It's very, it's like things where it's like, oh, good. Earlier I was talking about the cinematography being like the utmost importance of how like serious this is, but like it just like there's very little happening. And so I really like that's what I appreciated about the cinematography. That's what they like you said utilitarian, and I agree, but that's what's so cool too is when they do the Renaissance painting style.
Well,
you know, I mean, they're in the Sistine Chapel. Like, it's supposed to be that. Like, they get the lighting, especially with the smoke. I mean, that's kind of cheating when the car bomb goes off. It's like beautiful.
Yeah.
But like when they're sitting in like the theater room,
so good.
And there's just that one spotlight, dude. Fucking every time they're in there.
Cold blue seats and their red outfits.
Yeah, and the block or like the staging of it is beautiful.
So good.
Like where everyone's sitting is so cool.
One thing, so I watched it with Mary, and she actually really liked it too. She had a good time with it.
Okay.
But the one thing I kept noticing early on and throughout the whole movie was like when I said like the way the cinematography, but it had a lot to do with like the actual set dressing of like the juxtaposition between tradition and like the modern world and how like they kind of have a mesh.
I put that in there too.
Right, where it's just like I was like, isn't it weird that this like the Pope's it's like so like modern architecture and like his apartment and it's like all this really modern sleek furniture and everyone's got their like that one guy's got a vape even like goes out of his way he's just it's weird to see this guy just vaping and shit But then at the same time, like literally in one scene, it cut from there's a guard standing out because they get shuttled from like their apartments to like the actual Vatican or whatever.
Everyone, because everyone's flying in from across the entire world.
Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
you know,
And,
all the sex and so.
There's literally one part where it's like montaging a little bit with the score, and it cuts to one of the guys like literally pulled straight from the fucking Middle Ages with his halberd guarding the door in his fucking crazy ass fucking medieval costume, and then it cuts again to another guy that looks like a Secret Service, and he's just standing by an SUV smoking a cigarette. And it's like having this duality of like what is the place of religion in modern society? Because like I kind of think it doesn't really have a place, but it's like it does shine a light on that with in its subtlety of the filmmaking of having that juxtaposition between like all these modern conveniences with like 2,000-year-old religion, and like when do we advance? Are we holding on to the past, or like do we need to stay more steeped in tradition, which is generally bad in a lot of these cases? You know, it's very exclusive and violent often.
Right. Which this movie does make a good
It does
point of
addresses
that with,
it,
with using Wozniak as that character
For
to be
sure,
like,
yeah.
You're gonna set us back 50 years is like one of the quotes, you know, and I'm like it's astute, and it is happening, I guess. You know, that's like the thing. It's like, you know, when it comes to like religion, it is very small steps forward. But I loved like they do the montage cut, and there's someone with a cell phone. They're like scrolling on the cell phone on the bench, and then they're like smoking cigarettes, and it's just like the pile of cigarettes.
Yeah, that's fun.
You get that.
I like that.
I like that Dutch angle. Yeah, it's great.
I know my wife was like, "This is like House of Cards, but with popes." I'm like, "Yeah, kinda."
That's
like,
a great. That's a great mashup because it totally is. And that's what's fun too is like even they roll that red carpet out.
It's the same
over the,
same
like,
amount of
old,
sexual predators, dude.
Old title. Yeah, really though. Yeah.
No, yeah, right. When they roll it out, it's like they're like meshing the two worlds, and it's like, but it feels it's very deliberate, but it's like kind of unsettling to me.
Well,
like, you know, a little bit.
Yeah, right. It is interesting. I mean, it's like there is something that, you know, putting religion aside, it is cool to see something old mixed with new. Like I do like to see things that are updated, but like we're still using it too. That's it's not just like a monument, you know, that's being preserved. Right. It is something that is like actually being like actively kept up. And so that is, you know, that's fascinating. It's like that to see like any kind of old temple anywhere in the world, if it was, you know, still functioning as a place for people to live. It's fascinating.
Yeah. And so I've said before, like I don't care for religion, but it has created some of the best art ever made in history.
Yeah.
Some of the best art ever has come from religion. So it's interesting because you don't really think about film coming from that place. But obviously, like, you know, we talked before about doing like a religious month in cinema, because it does have an interesting place in cinema, and people don't be like, oh, that's like this someone's religious art. That's the Sistine Chapel of like film or whatever. But it is interesting because it's like, obviously the filmmakers in this are obviously religious, obviously. And so it's like they know their stuff, but they also present it at the end where it's like, oh, there's a lot of things wrong with the church and power, and everyone's like fighting for like, it's not really what it's supposed to be about. That's the monologue, right? It's supposed to be religion comes from within, and it's like about having your own connection and all that, and that's all, and that's fine.
And that's and in The Name of the Rose, they do such a good job with that too.
Yeah, exactly.
Where they're like, you don't need riches to be, you know, to be
100%.
faithful and to be holy, but then they're like, no, we want to kind of use this power to make ourselves, you know, in both.
There should be more movies about the Inquisition, though. This is fucking crazy.
Dude, that movie was great.
I really liked it. Yeah,
anyway.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Go listen to our podcast
yeah,
about
I kind of forgot about it, but it's really good. But no, it's like the filmmakers of this, obviously, it's interesting because it's like such a collective effort, but this does have a clear vision of someone like making a piece of art that could be perceived like it is religious art. It's a film, you know, but it's like, film's weird because it's telling a different kind of narrative, but at the end of the day, it is about like faith kind of, and on the filmmaker. And so it's like looking at that from the lens of like someone who's like paints, like a painter from the fucking, you know, 1700s that painted like a fucking Virgin Mary or someone, that it's like, I don't know. Is this like it's like a modern equivalent? And I don't know if that's like they didn't do it for the church, so is it propaganda? But it's like,
Well,
is it
that's what's
personal?
bonkers
Is it
to
from the
me.
church? You know, it's interesting.
Right. It's kind of weird. This is how I get perplexed, and I want to research it more on these kind of films happening where like I get reminded watching this film of that movie from like 2014 or something, 2015, Spotlight, which is like, it has not that much to do about religion per se. It's about like those dudes, the writers or whatever. I saw it a long time ago, and I don't really remember.
They talk
But
about
they
talk
write
quite a bit about the
paper, they do-
institution because that's like the
right,
crimes
of
that
course.
happen therein.
Yeah. Where like it's kind of interesting where a movie like that can like, Spotlight. They're sitting there trying to like expose somebody, and it's based in real life, and so it's like this movie. It's like probably looks more favorable in the church. So this is probably a movie that they would be like, 2 thumbs up. Let's go for it. Watch this like film. But I don't know. It's just interesting. Like I don't really have like a complete, thought on that. I'm just like, like you're saying, will this go down as like being religious art? Will they?
Well,
will they
I
hold this?
think just
will
looking
they
at
show this in the Vatican?
people don't think about film as religious art. I don't think, and it's like, but I don't see why not. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like it's such a collaborative process that it's just like it's not the same as someone like one dude doing a painting that was probably commissioned by a church or something. But it is interesting to look at it in that context and like evolved now to see like, that's obviously film is, only 100 and change old, that it's like in this modern society, like modern film is like a modern medium. I was talking about like tradition and like modern day and like the juxtaposition of the two. And so like even the idea of making a religious film is sort of like a clashing of the two, and you almost don't think about it as one.
I'm sure there. I can guarantee you though.
Well, go watch like God is
films,
those other terrible Christian movies those are propaganda straight up.
Well, exactly. Oh, right. Straight up, of course, like blatantly. But even deeper propaganda because they're probably funded by the church. That's like a big like differentiating factor between this film and probably something like a Passion of the Christ. I mean, even though I don't know if I can't remember. I'm pretty sure that got funded by the church, but I remember hearing buzz around that when it came out. But anyways, it's like who
I hate that
I don't
movie.
know. We'd have to look it up. I mean, yeah, dude.
But if we did a religious month,
buddy.
it would go on the poll though. It'd have to.
It would have to. Yeah.
Because again, I respect the craft of filmmaking because it's like it's a well shot movie and well acted,
of course.
But it's just like
that's right.
That movie's egregious. It's fucking
making film.
It's masturbatory.
Right.
That movie's fucking masturbatory,
Clearly.
dude. Like.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Right. And that's the thing though. It's like religion has a lot of like fucking brutal stories, and that's what's great about this movie. It's like it feels so intense at times, like where like it does almost feel like at any minute the other shoe will drop, and it's gonna like almost like I do. I get it like
it was
get an anxiety.
Was
the pace
incredible.
We mentioned that off air, so I wanted to circle back to that. This is probably one of like the tightest films we've ever watched ever.
At least
like
in a minute.
I from the opening to the ending. I was like, oh damn. This is
no more no less, very edited perfectly, fucking the whole way all the fucking drama was laid out. It very much set it up all very good. Even if, like you said, it like built a tension and then was something kind of like dorky a little bit.
Yeah, right. And that's even more just like a complete personal take on
sure,
it.
Yeah.
I don't think it really disrupted the film necessarily.
It broke it up with the tension where it's
noticeable.
Like, they're like standing, like they're standing on the stairway and they're like, he's like, oh, it's like definitely looks like it's just like full on the gossip now. It's like, then someone comes in, they're like, oh. It's good.
Yeah, right.
Know.
Yeah.
It's good because it does almost like you get so swept up. And I think that's like maybe one of the most important things about it is you get so swept up in the flow that it's like I didn't really start thinking about like the overarching big picture till after I'd finished it, because you're so caught up in like, oh shit, what's the next drama? Like what's the next thing?
Yeah.
Which it all concludes, like everything comes round. And so like what you're saying, there's like no extra fat. There's no like unanswered questions. You know, it's like he's got his faith. Everything kind of comes around. It does go with the happy ending, even though I was misled by the music and the tone. I was not expecting happy ending.
And misled by everything.
I should have known it was PG. I would have honestly not expected. Because I literally was like, every single time I'm like, oh shit, he's a rapist, and then I'm like, oh no, he just had an affair with her. He's fine. Maybe that just says something about me. But then I'm like, oh shit, John Lithgow, he was abusing boys, altar boys, and then I'm like, oh no, he's just selling stuff.
Dude, I literally thought Lithgow was gonna killed the Pope, and I was gonna be like, oh no.
I know. And then at the end, when the guy comes up, he's like, oh my god, you should have never. I didn't know he would win. I had no idea, or I would have told you sooner. And he's like, what, man, what? And I was like, oh fuck, he did genocide, dude. He was doing genocide out there. And it's just like, oh, never mind. He almost had a hysterectomy, so it's fine. Everything's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, but it was an incredibly well-made movie, and I was really glad to see it. I enjoyed it. It was up there this year for like the acting, the technical abilities, and everything. And I said previously, because we've been covering a lot of these 2024 movies, it's been a great year for like genre movies, you know, like Furiosa and fucking Nosferatu and like Substance and stuff.
Horror.
I haven't seen that many like big capital D dramas.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, this kind of is.
And I'm like, oh, okay, this was one that hit the mark and did it well, and that's all it is. It's just talking, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
right, yeah.
Good performances, good tension, and it holds your attention. It's 2 hours, you know. It's not too long, it's not too quick. It does it good. And then like the other one, like the only other like it's like Civil War, even though that's like a capital D drama, it's got way more going. Like that one is, I guess not. It's like it's got go listen to that episode. I wouldn't quite consider it the same, but I don't know. Next week's movie,
there's high stakes in Civil War, obviously, so it's like that.
Yeah,
it is a drama, but this was like this is that like I don't know this is the pontificating. You're just like sitting there like just like
it does feel
you're just wrought with decision.
It does feel more Oscar baity.
Yeah, sure.
But like in a good way, because some quote unquote Oscar bait movies, that's not necessarily bad. It's just like that's definitely like a thing they look for is just like this drama, just like a good solid drama that kind of encapsulates it all. I mean, that's obviously been changing in recent years, but
no. So it feels like a good adult movie.
It is.
It's
just a good like mature film that's PG apparently. So watch it with the whole family. You can explain to your kids like
they'll be bored as hell. but
but I don't know. Do you I know it's like brand new, like it just came to streaming.
Yeah. So far,
money?
I think it's funny because it's such a religious film that I'm like, I don't really know how kind of like, you know, I don't know. I call it propaganda, but it's just like how a Catholic film about Christianity and the Pope, how that's going to perform in like Thailand and China. So I don't think they got those numbers.
You do.
Really.
Like,
I don't even know if it got.
Well, like you said, it could. It's like that's obviously the thread that runs through the whole movie, but you could make a couple tweaks and set this anywhere. This, like you said, it could be set in fucking space or something, and it's like
right.
Because
it really it's
at the end of the day, it isn't just the political drama. You know what I mean? The conclave is like the group, the meeting.
But it was shot for $20 million, which is actually really low.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I'm like, that's what I would expect for like what we saw. You know, like I mean, even just paying like the 3 actors, it's kind of like
I would expect more just for like the sets, like because they obviously had to film some stuff in location and.
I didn't see like a solid number, but I guarantee you they shot this thing in 30 days max.
Oh yeah.
I can't see them shooting it longer than that. So anyways, but it was 20 million to make, and so far it's got 76 mil in the bank. So
nice.
It's done great for itself. But I probably won't get very much more. Honestly,
no, still that's great though. I mean, like I'm glad to see something like this. Normally wouldn't be popular though, but it
needs to be
that it's done so effectively.
And we're in the age of 20 million being like
Low.
a low
Lower,
budget.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, like I can't. It's like it feels disgusting to say low budget, but it's just crazy how it is. Like that's just like if we had more 20 million movies, we'd get great movies like this coming out more often than just like one a year or
The
something.
big
you know?
bloated, because it's like that's the thing when it's $20 million, like that is a lot of money. But to these people, there's just like you can make more risks with $20 million. You can make a political thriller about fucking choosing the new pope for $20 million. But when you make a movie for fucking $250 million, then
I know,
you
right?
have to make
You
it
have to-
just like it has to make as much money as possible, so it has no soul because it can't
really
offend.
though,
Yeah.
it's- And irony is it has to be based on an IP, and this is kind of based on one of the oldest
The
IPs.
best IP. Well, that's the thing. It's
So
like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's not. It's
Yeah.
religious, but it's not that religious. Like you said, you could take
know,
the religion
sure.
out of this movie, and it would
you
still
could.
work. Though.
You really could.
That's
yeah,
why
like, and
it's
I
so
was actually,
effective.
I was surprised. It's kind of cool how like they talk. I mean, this is like blatantly Catholic, but I feel like there's a lot of things like they didn't. I was expecting them to spit sermons at each other or whatever, like just constantly like, quote the Bible like every religious movie does, and they don't. I'm like, do they even once?
They like
I don't even.
they monologue a little bit. They're like speeches, but it's like
they
Latin.
pray.
Yeah, they pray. And it's Latin,
yeah,
but they don't.
They pray, but like they
They're
don't
like-
give each other.
Yeah, they're not like, "Hey, sayest,
Oh, they-
brother."
they
like
kinda-
remember,
they kinda
in,
do.
Remember in
But
that
it's-
one chapter.
Yeah, no, literally though, like that's every movie's like that. They'll take it and they'll be like, and he sunketh the ship and he ate from their buttocks, and that's
That's
what
in
they had.
that's
Joseph
in there. Yeah.
Joseph 2732. It's like yeah.
Well, this guy, I'm interested because it's like, so this guy's Edward Berger, the director. His last movie was All Quiet on the Western Front, the remake, right? It came out a couple years ago.
Right. the original.
It came out like 100 years ago.
yeah.
I didn't
yeah,
care for that movie that much, but it did
I
have.
didn't see it, so
Oh, really? I thought we talked about it, but
No.
it's fine. It's like it's too much. It's a little. It's not. It's too on the nose. But
I saw 1917, and so that was like I was like, I basically saw it.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It's got its
I wanna-
moment,
yeah.
but that's the thing. It's like that movie looked and sounded really good. There was something there in the core, like, and so Conclave is kind of the same. I did like Conclave a lot more, and so I'm like interested to see his next movie because I'm like, these were both really good movies. They didn't quite like. I'd probably give Conclave like 4 stars because I think it's probably like a 5-star movie almost, but.
Well,
For
right.
my own personal taste, it doesn't really.
Yeah.
You can't break past that barrier to be like
Because
interpersonal taste.
five stars are just literal opinion. Like 5 stars is just literal like passion.
That
and
last
just, like,
that
feelings.
last star
Like,
that last star is how much did it tickle me? So it's like this movie was really
right.
good, and I'll remember it. But it's like after the Oscar season, I'll be like, I'll only remember this movie to be like, oh yeah, Ralph Fiennes rules. And then like when fucking Berger comes out with his next movie, I'll be like, oh yeah, I liked Conclave. That was good. But it's not gonna, it doesn't live in my bones because, I don't know if if I look down and there's a turtle over in my office over here, then maybe I'll sing a
that might
different
shake.
tune.
That would actually probably shake me to my core, and I think I would convert immediately, dude. If there was a freaking turtle in my house right now, dude.
Pele just brought you a turtle. Just
oh, dude, yeah.
Anyway,
I know this isn't First Cow, so I'm not. I haven't.
I want to watch that again.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
What,
pulling up a Reddit.
what do we got?
I'm pulling up a Reddit.
What do we got from our Reddit buddies?
I got Jason Tatum fan page says, I watched it recently and thought it was incredible and absolutely deserving of its place amongst the end of the year lists. The entire cast delivered powerful performances. The cinematography was beautiful. Going into it, I was worried I'd be pretty simple story, but I was really surprised by how engaging it was. Really good movie that I think will win many awards this season. I agree with that. Right?
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, it'll win something for sure. It has to.
For sure. I mean, like I said, I think like leading performances, Ralph Fiennes. I mean, he's got 1 Oscar, but it's been fucking 30 years. Let's give him another one.
Right.
I don't know. But we'll see next week because Kieran Culkin's been the talk of the town with this next movie, so we'll see.
I know, right? Yeah.
Fact check you says very good for the most part. Let down by a cheap and tawdry ending that masquerades as something higher. Agree and disagree. But thank you for your comment because I get the sentiment because I agree it does feel kind of not shoehorned, like it fits, but it does, like you said, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, we get it. Like it's the eye roll where it's just like
it's almost like it is. That's just eye roll. That's it. There are some times where I swear like Ralph is just like rolling his eyes a little bit, even in his acting, even when he's not really literally rolling his eyes.
Yeah.
But it's just his face is saying
well,
everything.
and it does it does like what did they say, masquerades as something higher. I get that because it does try to be like, well, look how profound this is. And I'm like, it's not that profound. Like, it's just like, at its core, the most profound thing is this guy who was shooketh in his faith. He, everything is maybe good in the world now for him. And it's like, but it does act like it's like, whoa, dude. And I'm like, it was a good twist. This movie had a lot of good twisty turns, which is what made it such an engaging, like, thriller kind of vibe.
It's like, but it's, if you think about it though, it's like an amazing PG twist.
It is
like phenomenal for PG because we literally was expecting, like, I thought we'd come in and he'd have like a kid on his hand as a puppet. Like, I swear to God, I thought this was rated R, and he was like, I literally thought he was gonna like terrify a girl. It is like
that's what I was expecting too. But
if I
would have known it was PG, I probably would have been more shocked. But I was just like.
I thought it was going to be substance, dude, at the end. It's just like...
yeah. But no, I see what you're saying about like that.
Yeah.
It does try to...
Yes,
it does seem like it's being like, oh, and then it was all... And I'm like, no, it was just kind of concluded, and it concluded in a good way, and it came around. But it wasn't like... I wasn't having an epiphany. Like, I'm not going back to church or something. Anyway, Clones for People 2 says... First watch, I had heard good things about this, and I grew up Catholic, so I have a good idea of what the papal conclave is. Although I don't know the exact nature of the conclave, it felt like it was well-researched and realistic. I was pleasantly surprised at how much I liked this. I thought the story was very well written and acted. The score was fantastic, really set the tension. The cinematography, too, great use of framing and some really meaningful shots. Cinematography. I liked how the film didn't focus on supernatural aspects of religion and had the tone of a very serious political thriller. The end was a bit Oscar bait, but it was fine and it worked for me. Thoroughly enjoyable, 9 out of 10 for me. I have an urge to watch it again soon to see how it holds up on a second viewing.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks.
This is definitely a second viewing for sure, dude.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like there'll be something I missed. I mean,
for sure.
But maybe just because I think the reason I liked this movie so much is like I was kind of like trying to put the threads together the first 35 minutes or something, like I was like who are these people, who is, and then when they did the first vote, that was like I was like, oh, okay, I'm like, because they cut to everybody who they were talking about and voting and stuff, and I was like, okay, this is cool. Like
we've talked about it many times about how like most films deserve a second viewing, and so I'm not disputing that, but I do think that this movie I would like less on a second viewing, just simply because I talked about how much I was caught up in the flow and like wondering like where it's going and the pace and what's happening next. Knowing how everything shakes out and that there's no, child puppet at the end that
right. True.
Knowing knowing all the kind of quote unquote twists and turns that happen in this political thriller, I would still be very engaged by the filmmaking, obviously, and I probably respect that more. Like, oh shit, this was a really good, foreshadowing, how they lingered on this shot of whatever. And it's like I saw someone mention that like this is all the things that happened like could be seen as being set up by the previous pope, because it's like all the things he did.
Okay.
Kind of led to the events of him picking his successor, like how he like.
Well, because he does, because the Pope invited him in, and then invites him in.
If you believe Lithgow,
without anyone knowing,
he asked Lithgow to bring in that woman. So it's just like they would throw.
Okay, I like that. That's another layer that I didn't
so
consider.
I think that's kind of cool, and so I would probably enjoy those elements of it, but like knowing. Because I was like, what did Lithgow do? But knowing that I'm like, he didn't do much. He's fine. But he's not going to win.
Sure.
And so there's never the tension. Like every time they read the votes, it's like, you're like, oh shit, his numbers are dropping and his numbers are going up. And it's like tense where you're like, shit, the power struggle. But like, I don't know, it wouldn't be as impactful. But I would be interested. So we'll see. I'll probably never watch this. No, it was good, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I have
true,
to show.
yeah, I have no-
I have to
I have
show it to
no
my
reason
kids.
to watch
You know, I
it.
have to show it to them.
Yeah,
Get PG.
Yeah, get the family around the campfire and show them Conclave.
No, I'm borderline abusive. I show my kids just horror movies.
I know, right? They've seen the substance.
I know. Anyway, so thanks for that comment. Thanks to everyone watching this. Is that it? You got anything else to say about this movie?
Yeah,
Conclave?
no,
It's
watch
cool.
it up. If you really like how we talked about your favorite religion, come support us on Patreon, and we would love that.
Yeah. Next week we are watching A Real Pain, which is kind of snuck up, and I kind of want to. I'm glad it won.
I remember seeing the trailer for it.
I like-
years,
I like
months ago.
I
and
like
was
Jesse
okay.
Eisenberg, and I really like Kieran Culkin ever since watching Succession. So, and apparently they're both great in it. So I'm like, yeah, I'm down. It
And
seems
he directed it, right?
Jesse
Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg directed it. So
Okay,
I'm there.
nice.
I'm interested to check it out. I heard it's a good. This also seems like a capital D style. Just like
yeah.
too
I mean, I think there's going to be a little bit more like
indie vibe.
humor,
Yeah, for sure.
in it. Clearly, but
Let's see. I think
excited.
Eisenberg's kind of underrated. You know what I mean? Everyone used to be like he's the knockoff Michael Cera, but now I think it's like he's far surpassed Michael Cera.
I think he's
As
the
far
best
as like being
Lex
an
Luthor.
actual good. Okay. I mean,
not.
yeah, maybe,
That was a low blow.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, though maybe.
maybe.
Except for in the Daredevil movie, that dude's the best. The guy from Law and Order.
Oh,
Anyways.
yeah. Anyway,
Um,
that's it then. Thank
Bye.
you, for watching
Thanks,
/
guys.
listening. Check it out. Good luck out there in the world. I hope you're keeping it together.
I know, God, yeah. Wish we could have another vote.
Anyway,
All right.
bye now.
Bye.